So here we are today in Tseung Kwan O village. This is a rural village in Hong Kong, one of the more outlying areas that hasn't really been developed much yet. So typically Hong Kong is all skyscrapers, like you can see one off in the distance there. That's normal Hong Kong. Right? But the villages, like here, nothing is higher than 2 or 3 floors. All these village houses. So you can see how it is there. And then they have them, this whole area has thousands of houses. So some of these are quite old, maybe 40 or 50 years. Some of them are new. These ones that you're looking at right now are quite new. They just built those 2 or 3 years ago. So they retain the look from the old buildings. There's still a bit of traffic here, but not nearly as much as normal. A lot of the villagers like to plant things. So because they're in a rural area, so they have all these plants outside their houses. These areas are usually pretty wealthy, the people who live here. These village houses are a bit more expensive than normal apartments in Hong Kong. So the people who live here usually need to be able to afford the house and the car. So when I say pretty wealthy, the rent here is usually 3,000 to 4,000 US a month, depending upon the size of the place, some bigger, some smaller. I've seen some as low as 1,000 US a month a couple of years ago, but those places aren't very livable. So we're going to do a bit of walking down through these villages so that you can see the way that people live here. They hang most of their clothes out to dry, so that's why you're seeing clothes there. And then all the plants are right off the edge of the balcony where the water's going to catch. So they all get a lot of water. I don't know if these plants just grow here forever, or if they sell them or put them in their house, or what the story is, but that's how it's been here. So a lot of these houses have little side businesses in them, so sometimes when you're walking by you'll see plaques or signs that say what they're selling or things like that. I don't know if that goes around up there, but we're going to wander up there and check. A lot of people looking. When you go to villages like this, they see strangers outside their house, they pay attention. It's just like in rural America. You know, you get a stranger and people want to know what's up. Here in Hong Kong, a lot of the trees are protected, so many of the trees are numbered and they have signs on them saying which group they belong to, or what their brand is, things like that, or what the tree type is, the breed. So this is the other end of that alley. That there is a washing machine. This is our version of a little washing machine. Most of the washing machines in Hong Kong are really, really small. And they don't spin side to side, they spin in a up and down circular motion. It's a little odd, not very efficient, but it saves water, so that's why they use them. It saves water and space. These outside racks for sheets and clothing are really common in the village houses, but in the normal apartment buildings with the high rises, you can't do that because you don't have an area outside. Here it's quite common. I'm guessing that's why the people choose to live here, so that they can get some of the conveniences of rural living. These down on the side here are runoff drains, and they're usually just for running off stormwater. So a lot of people say they're open sewers and things like that, but they're not. Hong Kong's quite advanced. Even areas like this, there's no open sewers or anything disgusting. All those are just to help manage water when it's in a torrential downpour, which is often here. In these rural areas, you don't see the crowds, which is really nice. You know, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that It's busy everywhere you go, always. And then here, some of the people even have satellite dishes like that. A lot of them have satellite dishes or antennas up on top the roofs, so they can get a lot more options for channels, and they don't have to deal with the normal Hong Kong crap for getting TV. These are really popular. These flats are really popular with people who have kids. That's why almost every house you can see children's toys and things like that around. Small bikes for children. We're coming out towards the parking area for this first group. In the daytime it's pretty empty. It's just a few people's private cars. But at nighttime, these parking areas get filled up with all the local trucks. The trucks don't have much place to park, so they come here. Don't know what this building is. I'll have to do some translation tonight to figure out what that is. And they're doing some tree cutting there because it looks like the trees are getting unsafe, getting too close to the buildings, so they're going to do some tree cutting. That's really common here. Every few years a tree falls on somebody and kills them, so they try to do the tree cutting fairly often in areas like this. Grandma there cleaning her stuff. You can tell when you're walking through these buildings there's different architecture. So they were built in different eras. So some were built long ago, some much more recent. So you can see some of the trucks are already here. And then there's upper parking lots. This is just the first group of houses. You see across the way there's another group of houses. These go up the side of the mountain for quite a long ways. So there's tier after tier scaled up the side of the mountain, hidden in the trees. Let's see if I can show you. So here you can see the first and second tier up in front of us. So if you want to look this up on a map, if you're wondering where in Hong Kong we are, here you go, Wing Lai Road. You can go to Google and do a search for Wing Lai Road in Tseung Kwan O. Or just do Wing Lai Road in Hong Kong and you'll find it in Google Maps. These roads are really small, but Google has mapped Hong Kong very well. Some of these people who have a little more wealth have gated areas in front of their apartments. And they all have decent cars here. We're going to go up through the second and third tier of buildings. You see how they have them tiered up with the cement and then leveled. So we're going to have to go up a bit of steps here. It's a little bit of a hike. Some people like these areas because there's more wildlife. Other people dislike them for that reason. The only way up here is this. Here, it looks like there used to be a path here that goes down through, but it's almost grown over. So we're going to skip that tier and then just go head on up these steps and see if we can get a cleaner path to walk down. Not really. Let's see what's down here. There's some fruit trees, quite a lot of fruit trees here. If you look, hopefully you can see those pretty clearly. There's a lot of them here. People, some grow them for the fruit, some of them grow wild. This might dead end on me. Yeah, I can't go that way, so we're going to go back down and take that overgrown path for a bit. Hopefully nobody comes out and yells at me. We even have some nature here. Birds, butterflies. There's a lot of snakes in Hong Kong because it's so warm. Most are not poisonous, but we do have king cobras and a few others. So you got to be a little careful when you walk in areas like this. Other than the snakes, there's not much dangerous wildlife. See, this is one of the aqueducts that runs off. So you can see how that goes up the side of the mountain and it just keeps going up. These aqueducts, then they go under and continue going down all the way down to the bottom, and they branch off a bit. But under the ground they have these cement vaults that hold thousands of gallons. So usually they empty out in good days like this, and then when you get heavy rain they fill up, and that helps to deal with the excessive amounts of surge water. Each one of those vaults all the way down the side of the mountain is going to soak up a few thousand gallons of water and then empty out slowly. So this one goes down to the street level again, and this one looks like it goes up and continues on down through the flats. So we're going to head down here, and here's one of the locals, I'm guessing the tenants who lives here. So you can see the runoff drains on the side here. You also have pipes and wires run through here. Some of the plumbing and electric and such is a bit old. We've had some friends who live in these before, so I'm pretty familiar with these areas coming out here. In this particular village, we rented a 2-story place here and had some of our employees living there, so I had to visit a lot and fix it whenever things broke. You can see here the road continues up the side of the mountain there, and then there's steps that go up further to another tier. So we're not going to go up those steps, but we are going to walk down here a bit and go over to where the next block is so that you can see those. The whole reason this village started here is because there's a stream here and they needed fresh water. So this is the freshwater feed, or what used to be the freshwater feed. They diverted it mostly, so now this stream here isn't much, but right over on the other side of the road here it's bigger. So I'll see if I can show you. That one's a proper stream. This is more like a trickle now, and it's right now it should be pretty full. We haven't had rain in a while, but there hasn't been much heat either. It's winter time here. You know, you see everybody in short sleeves and skirts, so it doesn't look like winter, but this is winter in Hong Kong. Yeah, there's a little Hawaii trail. The little Hawaii trail starts up here on the left, and it goes up the whole side of the mountain. There are so many beautiful waterfalls up the Little Hawaii Trail. A few of my YouTube friends here that follow my channel have actually hiked this trail several times and are familiar with it. So I'm sure you know what I mean. This noise here and all the traffic is because this whole section out here in front of us is a truck and bus parking area, and there's a lot of companies nearby here that bring big trucks in for parking and for maintenance and things like that. People dump stuff here all the time that they don't want. There's a safe. Somebody put their safe here. And then a lot of times they put stoves and other things here. So you see the sign there that says Little Hawaii Trail. I'm not going to go all the way up, but I'm going to show you the creek up here. This mountain goes up, or this road goes up the mountain about another 100 yards, 200 yards, not very far. And then the trailhead starts. And you can probably hear the water already. And now we're starting to get to where the proper stream is here. Hopefully you get a good angle on that. Further up the mountain, this cascades down over some high rocks, and you have 30 or 40 foot waterfalls all the way up the side of this mountain. This is pretty amazing for hiking, this trail, and because of that it's busy. So every time I've hiked up here, I've seen 50 to 100 people on the hike. So up in front of us off on the left you can see a green bridge that crosses over, and you can probably hear this stream bubbling. It's not really big enough to do much fishing. If there's might be some wild trout or something in here, but not going to be much big stuff. So I've never really tried to fish it. But up here under this bridge would be one of the few areas that would work for that. Man, there's somebody sitting up there, so I'm wondering if they are trying fishing. No, just taking photos. There you go. So you can see there that comes bubbling down the mountain into a nice deep pool. I can get some video off the bridge to get a good angle there. Off on the right here is Tseung Kwan O Upper Village, but that's just a few houses, not many. And I think there's a garage business up there. So there's a sign for Little Hawaii Trail going up that way. So if you go this way though, then it goes, you can also take a trail along the level portion of the valley instead of up the side of the mountain. So it follows the lower portion of the water. This, when it rains, this creek gets crazy. This, I've seen it up to this bridge and even higher sometimes with the water, so it's a little silly. But right now it's the dry season, so it's not too bad. I don't know if you can see it in the camera because of the glare, but this is about 4 feet deep in the deepest, 3 to 4 feet deep. There are fish here. I can see a few fish down there that are some are really small, 3-4 inches, some of them are bigger. The biggest I see is about a foot. But anything too big gets eaten up usually by the cranes and other birds here that like to gobble them up. It's not quite deep enough to protect them. So up there, you can look, there's a netted area, so, which is most likely a nursery for plants and such. There's a lot of nurseries here to grow the various plants that Hong Kongers have come to love. Up further is a lot of Instagram places. People hike up here and then do photo ops. There's so many up along here. We're going to head on back now. and get back down to Tseung Kwan O village. And I've shown you the majority already, so you can see here, this is the bottom of the trailhead. So this is telling you where to go if you want to head to the Polam MTR, which is the nearest MTR station. It's about 20 minutes. The MTR is the Mass Transit Railway, which is our version of the subway. So a lot of people here own bikes or scooters or cars. Walking to the subway is a bit tedious for most people who don't want to waste 20 or 30 or 40 minutes every trip. There is a minibus that runs it. So if you go out to the edge of the village here, you'll see a minibus come every 15 or 20 minutes. In the mornings, it's every 5 minutes. Here's off on the left here is a electric substation, one of the power stations that you can see up there that runs the power up over the mountain and off to Sai Kung. So we're in the Sai Kung district of Hong Kong, but this isn't the downtown area of Sai Kung. I've done some videos of Sai Kung before, and if you look, that's down closer to the ocean. We're on the other side of the mountain from that. So they run the electricity over the mountain and then down to Sai Kung. And this is the garage here. And the power station is right there also. So some local here runs a garage to fix cars right there. You can see a few of them lined up. And then if you just go on through there, you can get up to the power station. And down in that area is all the trucking companies. And then those in the distance there are the newly built village houses. See, they look a little bit nicer than the others. Okay, so we're all done here. Hope you like the tour of Tseung Kwan O village. Need to get back home and get this uploaded, and we'll see you again in a few days.